We are now talking about Uganda. How do we put Uganda together? We're not interested in fighters. If you're interested in fighting, go back and join the army. We can send you to Congo. We have problems there. But don't waste our time. That people who go on radio, I hear them as if they fought. We didn't have to fight. This is our country. We love it. And some of us are giving you honesty. We want the country to be good for the sake of our children and our grandchildren.
Do we have a shortage of leaders in this country?
No.
How would you handle regrets?
What does the Frenchman say? C'est la vie. That's life.
Do you believe when you die you're going to heaven?
No, that's up to the judge.
But you can judge yourself.
No, I can't.
Hello, welcome to the Leaders Podcast, People, Purpose and Progress. With me, Simon Chris Makanga. Friends, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. And this platform or this community is for those who want to do better in life. If it's your very first time here, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing with your people. We're going to talk about life. We're going to have a conversation about so many aspects of life. And in this community, we believe in transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. So if you do resonate with that kind of setting, this is your community. And our special guest tonight is an amazing gentleman, one I've known for some good time. I've always sat at his feet and learned so many things. He has worked in the aviation industry. He has worked in different positions of leadership. He has worked in media and is still active in media. Captain Francis Babu. Like many people miss out your name, Captain Edward Francis Babu. It's a pleasure to have you.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. And thank you for that good introduction. Very kind of you.
Thank you so much.
A lot of people don't realize that when we speak, one judges who we are. When somebody keeps quiet, you can't judge them until they start talking.
True.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I was born in a place called Maokota many years ago.
Okay.
I grew up in Kampala. I went to Makerere School. Eventually went to the East African Airways Engineering School. And then I went into flying. I went to Oxford Air Training School and I became a pilot and I flew for East African Airways, eventually Nigeria Airways, eventually back here, and eventually ended up in entering the politics, which I did. I went to city council as a councillor, became an NRC member. I was in the Constituent Assembly. I became a member of parliament within the first parliament. And eventually, 2006, I got out and I am here. And now you're talking to me. However, I've been following what is going on. I love Captain, this country.
All that CV, I don't know how old you are today, but don't you think all that achievement was too much soon for you?
Not really. It went step by step. For example, the leadership I had started in school. When I was in secondary schools, I was a leader of student unions. I was a leader of the engineering school students. I was a leader in the flying school. I was a leader in pilots in Kenya. I've been a leader across all the people I've been with. Wow. Eventually, I became a leader here in the country. I supported the revolution to change this country. And what other people now term parties, I call it changing this country to a better country.
Now, Captain, looking at all these things, when you come back home to your beautiful home, just like the way it looks, what comes into your mind? How would you define life?
No. Life is God gives us a life. You live a span of life. God gives us a certain time. Other people live it longer. Others live it when you're younger. Human beings have got challenges, and those challenges must be learned. In fact, I told my children that going to school, they are preparing you for life, because life has an exam every day. So when they give you an examination or a test, it is life. When you wake up in the morning in a day, I don't know how many tests you get, but there are many. You are tested here, you have an exam there. All those challenges can be defined as exams.
Wow.
So it's up to you to learn how to get solutions to those challenges. And that's the same as getting solutions in school.
Do you remember your very first time on a plane? Like you're the pilot, you've graduated, you've been tested, you have over 20 passengers on board. Your very first time. Do you remember that experience?
Yes, I do. But you see, the problem is, when you're a pilot, you don't even think about passengers. You think about safety first. not the passengers. Yourself.
Safety.
Yes. Why do you think, people don't want to speak the truth, but no pilots wants to have an accident. So the first thing is you are in it. Your safety is important. So the safety of yourself and passengers and aeroplane are extremely important. So at the end of the day, what happens is that you are taught all those things. As we go along, you are taught theoretically, you are taught in the aeroplane. In some other places, you are now taught in a simulator, which is virtually the same as an aeroplane. In fact, in some countries now, the simulator is good enough. You don't even test on the aeroplane. You go from the simulator to start flying an aeroplane. And the computers have come in. So there are all sorts of things that are happening now in aviation. So aviation is a very interesting subject. Before a co-pilot is even allowed to sit in the right-hand seat, because that's where first officers sit.
That's where you start from.
Yeah. You first start in the third seat. There's a co-pilot there who flies. You come in when the captain says, let him sit there. Oh. So you do the radio, you do all the work in the and then he says, okay, now let him stay there. Before landing, he says, you come back, and you go and sit at the back. So the other man lands. They teach you what happens when you land, after you park the aeroplane, and what sort of checks you have to do. You actually walk around the aeroplane, you check it, all sorts of things.
Was it a privilege?
To me it was, because I'd come from a humble start. So it was quite a privilege. It is a very interesting occupation, and a lot of people don't realize it, but it is one of the very few occupations which demands that for 8 hours between here and London, you're actually alert.
Really?
Yes. You can go to the loo and come back because you have a co-pilot, but you go there and run and come back as a captain.
What do you remember the most in that experience?
What I remembered most was learning how to fly over different countries and the kind of weather, the routing of aeroplanes, and the type of aeroplanes that one flies. And it was quite interesting, very interesting.
Captain, once again, I want to welcome you to the Leaders Podcast.
Thank you.
People, purpose, and progress.
Yes.
Simple as that. Captain, let's speak to leadership. You've attained different positions of leadership. What is leadership? Who is a leader?
A leader is a person who wants to make other leaders. Is a leader who makes other people become leaders in a management environment.
Is that person created?
No. He also is been made a leader by somebody else. He has got certain charismatic, he's got charismatic
like the Greek, that was the Greek interpretation.
Yes. That is still there. Leaders have got charisma to invite people. But people have also been mistaking leaders. They are leaders in a different environment. There is a leader who is autocratic. There is a leader who is bureaucratic. There is a leader so there are all sorts of leaders. In fact, these leaders are so many that there is a participative leadership, which is democratic. There is a transactional leadership, delegative leadership, bureaucratic leadership, servant leadership, coaching leadership. Now, not all these can be leaders in the other sphere. You cannot be a member of parliament because of this. No, you've got to have other qualities. So leadership is a little bit wider. In my sincere opinion, a leader is somebody, in fact, there are people, leadership by itself is defined in many different ways. And we need to know what we are talking about when we are doing it. Say, the ability of an individual or group of people to influence and guide followers or membership of an organization, society, or team. You should be able to take them in the right direction. That's a leader. Either you're a good leader or a bad leader. But normally you should be able to lead them in the right direction. A leader has to have certain qualities. He's got to be accepted by the people he's leading. He's got to be able to be honest. And I think Lee Kuan Yew defined it very well for a leader of the country. One, he has got to have a merit to be a leader. Meritocracy means he's qualified to be a leader. Number two, he's got to be pragmatic. And number three, he has to be honest.
Honest.
Yes.
So now,
we are talking about character.
Character.
Yes.
And one thing I've come to notice about character, I have read it in it's James Clear,
Yes.
Atomic Habits.
Yes.
he defines a character as the ability to have integrity.
Yes.
Where he says that integrity, he defined as being one or true to yourself. That when you speak something, your actions must also do the same.
You must be pragmatic.
That's it.
That is how Lee Kuan Yew ruled Singapore. And he got it from a Chinese leader. The Chinese leader says, if you want to make your country work better, use those three words. It's called MPH. Meritocracy.
MP?
MPH.
H.
Meritocracy, pragmatism, and honesty.
Wow. Now, Captain, you've attained different positions of leadership. I want to speak to your personal character as I sit at your feet and learn, as well as other people who are going to be watching this. Speaking to you from the university to your work life, you held different positions of leadership. What do you think has made you different?
No, not made me different. There are certain qualities that I respect. I respect honesty. And I respect, so I don't agree with that. When you are with me, I want you to be a leader. And because I think you can be a good leader. And there are two ways. You either have got the trait, which you are born with to be a leader, or we can cultivate it so that you're a good leader.
So you can be molded.
You can be molded.
Can a person who has been molded be a true leader?
Oh, yes, you can. That's why you must have people who lead them and show them the way. Yes.
Let's come into our country, Captain.
Yes.
Some of my questions are going to be out of curiosity.
No problem.
On how I see things.
It's a conversation.
In this country.
Don't worry.
Do we have a shortage of leaders in this country?
No. We have 46 million. Even if you said half of them are below age and say the other half are above age, then you said out of 23 million, another half, make it 11 or 12 million. Yeah? 12 million, even making that's another half. Out of 6 million, you are bound to have good leaders. They're there. But what I have realized, the kind of education curriculum we have had here has created more technocrat. People highly qualified to be in offices, not to be leaders. We don't have people who train leaders. All of what we're training for are technocrats. And these Europeans, they wanted servant to serve the government. So a lot of our people are highly qualified, teachers, professors, people with master's degree. They can do very good management in office. But even them, some of their leadership is questionable. You see? So you don't need to be for granted. Oh, he went to Makerere, he has an MBA, therefore he's fit for the position. No, he must be trained for that position.
Where are we moving right as a country?
There was a very big argument one time when I was in Nigeria. They were talking about the British degrees and the American degrees. And there was I could see there was a tendency saying the American degrees were a little bit inferior to the British degrees. Because you see, a lot of us in third world countries are much more British oriented. What happened? The American ambassador was given an interview with the British High Commissioner. And the American ambassador says, see, unlike you, we train our people differently. After the degree, they don't start work. They start from the bottom of the organization, in the mail room. Then they go into distributing mail. Then they are given a desk to receive the mail. Then they are given a position.
They go on understanding the system.
Correct.
From the bottom.
From the bottom.
To the top.
To the top.
How things are done.
And after
so by the time you're on the top.
Yes. You know how the company works.
Wow.
That is what they call management trainee.
Captain, when you look at your younger self, I'm sure this thing happens to me sometimes, where I sit alone and I reflect on my life from maybe 20 years ago, the hurdles I've gone through, the success stories I've had. I'm sure it happens to you. When you flash back, what do you tell your young self? What would you tell your young self?
Did you do a bit of mathematics?
Inevitably, yes.
Do you know what a sine curve is?
A sine curve.
Yeah, it goes up and down. Up, that's the life of a human being. It's up, one time you're here, one time you're there, one time you're here. And that makes you learn as you go along. And then the curve becomes smaller as you go along. But this is something that you must
Where is
learn.
your curve now?
My curve, I've reached an area where I look back and I see how big some of my curves were. And sometimes we create those curves by the thinking that you said you do. You should not think much about it. You should find the solution now, not what you found 2 years ago. That will not help you. It can help you to give you a basis. But as far as I'm concerned, you should start now to learn that there are things that you must do as a leader in your home. Because in a home, there is a leader. In the village, there is a leader. In where you work, there is a leader. So leaders are at every level.
There's something we usually do. We bring in some rapid questions.
Yes.
But it's not a courtroom.
No. Go ahead.
What you don't feel like answering, you say pass.
No, I told you the honor I didn't want to discuss. You had it. So
yes.
me, I'm very straightforward.
Yes. Captain, I want to throw your mind back when you were still very little. What is your favorite childhood moment?
Well, I came from a very humble background. My father died when I was very young, so my mother brought me up. I used to walk to go to school, quite a distance. I used to stay in Rubaga Road, and I used to go to Makeriko school in the morning, primary 7 and 8. Then eventually, when I went to senior 1, I went to the hostel. I grew up in a very, very humble home in that area, and I learned a lot of things there. We used to go to the village, so I knew a little bit about village. I also played that ball, which is made out of banana fiber. Very interesting ball. I knew how people fetched water. Of course, they would take me. They would not allow me because they called me Muzungu there, you see. So there are many things that I did in the village which were very interesting. So I learned village life and I learned city life. I eventually finished, went to Kenya for East African Airways Engineering School, which I did, and finished. What I really remember, which never go in my mind, was when I was in Britain and I became a pilot. I got excited. We were interviewed by a Uganda program, which used to be on UTV. They would come and interview you, and they put it on when I was still there, and everybody watched it. I grew up in this town, so I knew everybody around Mengo. We used to go to Rugiri when we were young. The Kabaka used to look at us. That's one. I was baptized in Zambia. I knew a lot about Zambia, Mill Hill Fathers. A very interesting event. We were staying near Rubaga, but I used to have to go to Zambia because my people believed in Zambia. And they were two quiet system. The Mill Hill Fathers were in Zambia, the White Fathers were in Rubaga.
So you drive off from Rubaga, then you proceed up to
Zambia. Yeah. Very interesting, but it's something for another day. Apart from that, really having had those two, I learned a lot of things. So it made you humble. Whatever you got, you thanked God for it. So when I became pilot and we came back to Nairobi from London, we flew into Nairobi and somebody was waiting for us with a hotel voucher, with allowances, with letters to sign. We were joining East African Airways. Took us to a hotel called New Avenue, which is right opposite the post office in Kampala, in Nairobi. It was like we were in heaven. They gave us 2 weeks. Next day we went to the airport. That's where they had the office of East African Airways. This side of the old, what they call the old airport, not the new airport where you was. That one had not been built. When they assigned the papers, and they said they had given us 2 weeks to come home and then come back. So I packed my things. I went into the aeroplane, came to Entebbe, came and saw my parents.
How did you feel?
1970, very interesting. And that was before Amin came. So after I finished, I went back to Nairobi and we started flying. They started training us. Do you remember you asking me about flying? I went on a little aircraft called Twin Otter. They started training us around Nairobi. We would fly, take off, fly around Nairobi, come and land, go around. Then they would take us on a route like going to Mombasa, then they would come back. Eventually, we became a second cadet pilot. And the next day, we were on a flight to Dar es Salaam. So we went from Nairobi, Mombasa, Dar es Salaam.
Mm.
And in Dar es Salaam, they were putting us in the best hotels. It was like heaven, like I told you. The most beautiful hotel was Kilimanjaro Hotel, and they would give you a room.
Mm.
So from there we learned. Then the next morning we would go to Zanzibar, Pemba, Tanga, back to Dar es Salaam.
Mm.
Next day we would go to a place called Mafia. Next day we would go to a place called Mutwara. So we learned the whole of Tanzania.
Wow.
Eventually you became a co-pilot and you started flying instead of being a third pilot. And we would fly into Entebbe. We would then do what they call the leg circuit. We would go to Bukoba. We would go to Musoma, and then we would come back to Mwanza, Musoma, back to Entebbe. Then we would fly Entebbe, Kasese, Para Lodge, and back to Entebbe. So we were doing all those.
Wow. Captain, are you short-tempered or you're even-tempered?
Both.
How would you
Depends
balance?
on the environment. There are things that really drive you crazy straight away. There are things which you do not. Yes, I think a little bit much more on the short side, because some of the things that you see are unbelievable. Yes.
How do you deal with that?
I sometimes tell the people what you're doing is wrong. I warn them. Like in the car, I've said, but what are you doing? You know, that kind of thing. Yes, sometimes they really are very annoying.
Captain, do you have any regrets in life?
Not really. Not really. A lot of my friends went and lived in America. The ones I went to fly with, they went to other countries, ended up in America. But I cannot live in America, no Britain, no anywhere in Europe. I prefer here.
Do you believe when you die you're going to heaven?
No, that's up to the judge.
But you can judge yourself.
No, I can't. I can't. Judge, that one is a very complicated thing. You're asking me what is beyond me.
But
No.
Captain, you can flash a light into yourself and you're like, I think I'm going to heaven.
Well, we expect the best, but that's up to the judge.
It's up to the judge. What do you tell the judge every day when you wake up?
No, you thank God, for example, and you thank God for everything you've got. Everything we've got is because of the judge, and I believe it works because I've been saved from many unfortunate things. One time, I was called to the president. Some ladies went and reported me to the president that I had a gun. I went to that meeting. I said, yes, I have a gun. It's licensed, Mr. President. It's a Glock. Glock is one of the best guns. But I don't work with it. So these people have never seen a gun. Yes, I have a gun. So the president said, but they said, in this one, listen, Mr. President, I don't need a gun for that lady to run away. I just have to shout and he'll run away. And the president laughed. I don't need a gun for these people. Why? So they looked very small.
But you must have had a good relationship with the president, Captain.
No, the difference between me and a lot of people, I speak openly.
Do you ever call him or does he ever call you?
No.
When was the last time you talked to him, like physically?
Sometime back when I stood against somebody in a sec, and they called me if I could leave for him. So I told him, Mr. President, I'm not leaving it for him, I'm giving it to you. You give it to whoever you want.
What did he say?
He took it, and he gave it to the man he wanted, but not me. You see, you've got to be honest to people.
Did it hurt you, Captain?
No. Why? I'm a member of the NRM. If they feel, for example, Makanga, if you say you don't want to work with me, why should I force myself to work with you?
There's no reason why.
So I give it to you, give it to the person who can work with you.
Do you feel it was the right time for you to give it away? Or do you feel like you were still relevant?
No. In fact, my giving them away, they should have realized was I despised them.
They didn't realize it.
They didn't. Because if I've already won and then I give you my seat, it means that...
Actually, a wise person would have given it to you, I think. I don't know, in my thinking, by the fact that
losing
Captain,
my contribution is not that easy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That by the fact that you said, Judge, you take it, give it to whoever you can. It shows that you're a leader.
Yes.
To me.
By the way,
But
the things that I have done on coming to media to contribute to this country are more than what they have in SEC. I've contributed more
When you're outside.
when I'm outside.
Why?
Because they listen, they hear it, and they agree it is the truth. They listen.
Do they call you like, hey, we had
No, they
you
don't
say
call
this?
me, but the people who talk about it, eventually it comes back to me through the system. Yes.
How do you feel?
I just know that what I'm saying is true. I like the truth, honesty. I don't like this deceiving anybody. We want this country to be okay. The most important thing is the country, not you, not me. Yes.
Captain, is life a fallacy?
No. Life is life. You live a life. You have yourself. You have your partner. You have your children. That's life. That is actual life. These are the things you do outside, putting on suits and whatnot. Those are the fallacy ones. I can put on a designer suit of $1,000. I can put on a suit of $100, and we look alike, both of us. The other one is a fallacy. Mine is real because it's $100. It's what I can afford.
How would you handle regrets?
What does the Frenchman say? C'est la vie. That's life.
C'est la vie?
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
That's life. So life is not going to be one line. They're about to be disappointments.
Captain, you were into government.
Yes.
You served
Yes.
in different positions of leadership. Kampala Central, Member of Parliament, Chairman NRM. Remind
Yes.
me.
Yes.
Where?
And SEC.
And SEC.
NRM, then SEC.
And SEC. What was your greatest contribution that you look at and you're like, this is me?
When they put their SEC, I'm the one who introduced that they should have vice chairmen of different regions, for example. I also told SEC that they should try now and then to meet people in different districts, which they do now. I always wanted us to be honest. For example, there's something which they never did, but which I pushed quite a bit. I wanted us to go on what they call leadership drive. A leadership drive is for us to go to that village, which I taught you, and ask them, where do people here have very good leaders? And we look into their children, whether in university, and we start looking at them and see if they can become good leaders. So a party has got two functions. One, to have a program. This program, that's what they call a manifesto. This and that and that and that we'll do when we get into power. Then the second one, they must give us good leaders. So when I go
They must be able to reproduce.
Yeah, no, not reproduce. When we are going for election, among them, they should give us a good leader that is respected, or she's respected. They should not just wait for it. It's like a bus stop. Anybody who comes wants to be a leader. No. They should have gone for a leadership drive to say our party will get leaders in this country. They are there. And when the people are told you are actually a good leader, they feel good. And those good leaders don't want to get involved. They don't want to be put in the mud with others. They just keep quiet.
1995.
Yes.
We had a new constitution.
Yes.
And glad I'm speaking to a person that fully participated in the Constitutional Assembly.
Yes.
Captain, this could be 1995 up to 2025. Those are about 30 years. Don't you think we need a constitutional review? We have different problems today, Captain.
Of course.
Don't you think we need a constitutional review to forge solutions to the current problems?
The fathers of the American Constitution, when they did it, they put in it something called amending the Constitution. We, in our wisdom, put in two things. We put in the amending of the Constitution, I think it's chapter 18, and then on top of it we said certain areas should be reviewed after 10 years, and then after that every 5 years. The particular example I'll give you is the special groups. We wanted them to be reviewed after 10 years. But I think there it should have been the whole Constitution. Can we review the whole Constitution every 10 years, or certain parts of the Constitution? It's allowed. And after that, it was supposed to be every 5 years. So technically, the Constitution, we were not gods that would do something that will last forever. That's why we put there an amendment that you could look at certain things which you should be amended.
And review.
Others we said should be amended by different methods. One by Parliament, the other one by the district, the other one by referendum. It's all there.
Mm.
Now, there are certain things which were put there, which some of us didn't agree, but it was put there eventually. Like the age limit. I didn't agree with it.
You didn't?
No. What I wanted, and they put it there because, from what I'm told, that there was somebody they feared could come and stand.
Obote, let's be honest.
I don't know if that's the one, but as far as I'm
Such
concerned,
conversations have come out.
as far as I'm concerned, that was unfortunate. The 2-term limits, that one I supported. But then later on, as I grew, I said, wait a minute, why do we choose 5 years to have elections? What is the reason? Number 2, why must we have a 2-term limit? What are the reasons?
Those are valid questions.
So I wanted us to sort of now, before we review the Constitution again, to answer those questions. The age limit, I should be biological, because we have already got it in there. That if biologically one of the leaders is not all right, doesn't meet it, automatically the leader resigns. So we don't need to worry about the biological fit of a human being. If biologically the person is okay, you can't, because I think, was it a few years back, the Prime Minister of Malaysia was 94 years of age. They voted him in because the other Prime Minister had let them down. So they brought this man to put the country together again.
Did he perform?
Yeah, he did. But for him, he said, no, I can't be more than 5 years. I'm too old. So in 5 years, he brought the country together. They applauded him and he went. He's back. He's resting.
Wow.
So it also depends on the people. That word I told you about, honesty. Yeah? Honesty and being pragmatic. If all these leaders have failed, you bring an old man to bring everybody together. And the old man, after putting them, he said, I've done my part. Bye. Fantastic. We need leaders like that. Uganda now has a problem. In this transition, which all of you are putting on your mouth, transition, you are going to need a leader who can put Uganda together again.
Do we have that passion?
Oh, yes, we do.
From your experience?
We have a lot of people who can do this. Listen, the other day, I had one of the family. Yeah, there are people who go on the radio. They talk as if they fought. Some of us fought. My friend, we are not talking about fighting now. Fighting has become dinosaur. You know what a dinosaur is? Extinct.
Yes.
We are now talking about Uganda. How do we put Uganda together? We're not interested in fighters. If you're interested in fighting, go back and join the army. We can send you to Congo. We have problems there. But don't waste our time. That people who go on radio, I hear them as if they fought. We didn't have to fight. This is our country. We love it. And some of us are giving you honesty. We want the country to be good for the sake of our children and our grandchildren.
Captain, I would like to sit at your feet, and I want to ask this in favor of so many youths
who
are going to watch this. Probably you could be in your evening, but 20, 50 years from now, Uganda is going to exist.
Yes.
And we shall have leaders.
Yes.
When you come back home here in your beautiful home, what do you think about Uganda?
No, I think about our leaders, our youth. The right youth are not coming out. We have very good, very smart young youth who can be leaders in this country. But they are not anywhere. Everybody I'm seeing is after something else.
Does it worry you?
It worries me that the wrong leaders are getting into positions of power. And Socrates many years ago said it. That once you get fraudsters and funny characters getting in leadership, you're going to end up with the worst dictator ever. So there are a lot of young people who are good leaders don't want to get involved.
What should we do?
We've got to get people who the leadership drive. You remember I told you about leadership drive? We need older people like me to do what they call the leadership drive by identifying good leaders, both men and women. Not degrees. Degrees we know you have. Most of you young leaders now have master's degrees. So I want to look among those with those qualifications if they have the character of a leader. Yes.
Captain, the son.
No, it's okay.
It's okay?
Sorry.
Okay. Captain, the son interrupted my question.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
But the thing is, how do you stay relevant as a leader? Let me give an example. You will also speak to yourself that we have President Museveni who has been a leader from 86. How does a leader stay relevant that before the eyes and the ears of your people, you're relevant?
Yeah, apart from a few things that have gone wrong in the leadership of the president and his people, generally he has done very well. He has brought us up to this. If you look at our country, population 46 million, our GDP has gone up. He's been working on...
Now $40 billion US dollars.
Yes, if we get oil, it will even be better than that. He's trying very hard to get industries in here. He has increased our power. The universities have been increased. We have more communication stations. We have more media stations.
We have a reason to clap.
Yeah, if we look at the things that have been done, the good ones, there are many. But there are some bad things that have happened also. You see, my friend said, no matter how good you are, there's bound to be something that is not right. Baganda have a saying, no murungi tabulako kamogo, which means even the most good-looking person must have a flaw.
And most times, do you know what worries me, Captain? We dwell so much on the kamogo, the bad things.
That's right. And it's very small, but it is there. It is that kamogo which is being used by propagandists to destroy the name of the government.
What should we do?
The president, to be honest with you, people are tired of 40 years. The president should get, among all the leaders he's got, one person to replace him. And we put him where Nyerere was. You know, Nyerere remained a party leader.
And remained relevant.
And he remained relevant. But then the president becomes president. Because he chose Mwinyi, and he remained a party leader. Then he chose the other man who now passed on. But what was interesting one time, between that president who passed away and this young president, Nyerere said, no, you are still young, let the other one go. You can see, the president can remain at that level. And say, wait a minute, let's resolve this problem like this. He becomes our elder, and like in I think it is in Iran.
You think he's not aware of that?
In Iran they have, what they call him? A supreme leader. We can have somebody, we can have him there. In Singapore, they made him a senior minister. Virtually, they called him a senior minister, but he was the advisor to government. Lee Kuan Yew before he died. So it really depends. He could remain the chairman of the party. But then the other people who are in government will respect him for his advice. Now, he should go on leadership drive and get leaders. And those leaders should be looked after, and the government should be able to turn them into very good leaders.
Friends, you're still watching the Leaders Podcast, People, Purpose and Progress. My name is Simon Chris Makanga. I'm still seated at Captain's feet. I believe you're also following this, and you're enjoying with the conversations we are having about our country and where we want it to go, where we are and where we want to go. Captain, looking at all the things you've achieved, are you blessed or you're working hard?
No, me, I'm blessed. Because even my age now, I think God has been kind. Very kind.
Do you have any regrets?
No. My eldest son is 50. Cedric is 50. Yes.
Interesting. What do you think of that? What do you make of that? Let's be honest, Captain.
God. You know, I believe in giving you people, young people, their independence. You come to me, I'll mentor you. I'll tell you this is not right, this is wrong. It's up to you to decide. I don't even tell you what course to study. It's up to you. If you want to go and study MDD, fine. If you want to go and study MBA, fine. If you want to go and become a doctor or a lawyer, fine. It's up to you. One of my daughters is a lawyer. One has got BBA. The other one has got MBA. You know, they all studied. They've all studied very hard.
Is there a point in life where, and I would like you to share your personal experience, since we all wake up every day to chase life in a nutshell, is there a moment in time where you reach maybe a certain age and you say, I have to give up?
I give an example. One of my daughters has worked for Airtel for 25 years. Now, what makes one stay in a company for 25 years? Because they are contented with what they have. when you start looking at things that don't, there's an English saying that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. If you start going into those proverbs, then you're in trouble. Live within your means. Live within your level.
So from your experience, it's never green?
No. It is, you are the one who builds it to be green. Because the other person who you say the grass is greener, he has built it. Where is yours? Why don't you build it? Yes. We cannot live the American capitalist style that my neighbor bought a Mercedes-Benz, I should buy one. I live within my means. Baganda have a very nice saying for that. By the way, Baganda have a lot of beautiful proverbs. Omumpi wako mawakwata. Yeah? When you are short, you can't reach too far. You can only reach a certain level.
And you can't be everywhere.
No. And the greediness is something you should fight. To be greedy is bad. There are people in this country who are greedy. Very greedy.
It's not good there, Captain. No. But one thing I've found in life...
They have caused us problems. And when they go, we have even bigger problems. Because there are things you start hearing, they are being auctioned, so-and-so is killing, the brother, the wife is killing so-and-so, the husband is killing another, had another wife, the wife is killing the other wife.
Captain, what worries me most is the fact that we were not born like that, just like how the late Nelson Mandela put it right, that no human being was born hating the other.
No.
Human beings cultivate
those bad habits.
Meaning, you just learn how to hate. So if you can learn how to hate, meaning you can also learn how to love. And these things
you remember I told you earlier on that for me, I tell you right on the face. That has helped me a lot. I don't put it, because those things you keep in, they create pressure in your body. For example, if you annoy me, I say, Makanga, please, you are crossing the line. That's it. That's where, for me, I remove it there and then. I don't even remember it after that.
How has it helped you in life?
Oh, quite a lot. Because they know, that one, if you disturb him, he will tell you.
Can you speak to an incident where you were saved
But I gave you a few minutes ago, backstabbing. There are people who are in government who stab others.
Did they stop backstabbing?
No, they are continuing, but they are getting less and less, and they are beginning to realize what they did was wrong. You eventually realize that what you are doing is wrong. You might want there and then to get your money. One of them says, oh, you are too old, we want younger people. Now, that is sectarianism. Age or what? It's not right. Is he a good person? Is the younger person good also? Both of them are good, so what? So if you fight another one, and you went even stealing their votes, because they are older and the other one is younger, then there's something wrong with you. Yeah. You actually need to go to Butabika to check your head, because psychologically you're not normal. Yeah.
Now let's speak now, since you talked about Butabika, let's speak to mental health.
Yes.
Was it a few years ago, Minister of Health released a statement that 14 Ugandans are mentally ill, and it's evident all over, from how we behave on the street, the comments we make. Someone will throw a comment on social media, and a person with a lot of respect. And then you wonder, really, is there wisdom in that person? Or that person is mentally ill? My
classmate, who was the head of Butabika, who was now retired, he said everybody is mad. The question is what level?
The degree.
Yeah. And after listening to him, I agreed with him. Now, the person who was giving you those statistics, those are what they have that year. They could be less, they could be more. But the point is, if we are human beings, and human beings are animals, they have certain levels of that. And the degree is, when you are normal, you control it. When you're not normal, it bypasses. Madness can be also induced by drinking, by drugs, and many other things. So it really depends. And some of these drivers in Kampala can induce madness. The way they drive their borders, the way they drive their cars, they can induce madness. People get annoyed, So one of the things you've got to learn, the kind of system you have. I've had some you see a driver driving and you wonder, So the levels are there to all of us. The question is, do you control it?
Captain, how do you control it?
Oh, by being normal. By the way, one of the things that helps us to control is church.
Church.
Yeah. The meditating on prayers does help somebody to calm down. Now, when you hear this word calm down, it's also a degree. How far can you go? Can you ignore certain things and stay calm? And in martial arts, actually they teach in meditating to maintain your level. You don't get annoyed. You maintain and listen. And sometimes when you listen very long, the same person who is annoying you begins to annoy himself. So it's a matter of understanding.
Captain, lastly, I would like you, this is your camera.
Yes.
For only about 30 seconds, share some words of wisdom to the followers and the leaders in this country.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think I want to take the opportunity to tell the population and all our people that among us there are leaders. Leaders are easily identified because they tell you the right things to take you in the right direction. Not only that, they must have integrity, and therefore the word is honesty. They must be pragmatic, and they must also have what we call meritocracy. They must be at a certain level to be able to understand you. Therefore, leaders are made by you, and they also make you. So, a good leader is the one who will make leaders among you. Therefore, I advise that the leaders should stop hiding. They should come out. We have them. And they should stop being proud that my name cannot go in the mud. No. If you are honest and you do things right, your name will never go in the mud.
Thank you so much, Captain.
Thank you very much.
I must say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Friends, thank you so much for being part of this conversation, right from the genesis up to now that we are going to be saying bye-bye to you. But before we do that, if it's your very first time here, please go ahead and subscribe, like, share, and also comment. But most importantly, if you do resonate with this ideology of transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change to make this country a better place, and not only this country but the world a better place for us to live, please come through, be part of this conversation, inbox us, let's build this country together. My name is Simon Chris Makanga, and may the good Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob be with you until we meet in another video. For now, it's a bye-bye.